we are going to learn about various concrete finishing techniques. As the name suggests, the concrete finishing is nothing but once the freshly prepared concrete is mixed at the site and then transported and placed in the required molds, the top layer of the concrete surface is being finished. There are various finishing techniques that are being adopted. So we are going to see about these finishing techniques in this session. So the various finishing techniques that are being used widely around the world are traveling or floating, edging, broom finish, exposed aggregate finish, salt finish, stamped concrete, and pigments. Now let's see each of these following in detail. Traveling or floating. Traveling or floating is nothing but the most commonly used method which is used to give a smooth textured concrete finish. This method is usually done once the concrete achieves its initial setting time. As shown in the image, the person is using a trowel to give the concrete surface a smooth finish. It's used in both manual and mechanical types. In the manual type, we use a small steel handled trowel with a steel plate at the bottom or a wooden float where a wooden plank is placed instead of a steel plate. So this manual troweling is mainly used for small scale projects as it is time consuming and also a labor intensive work. Now, whereas in the power troweling, that is the mechanical troweling process, it's not the machine that's being used is called as power trowel. It's used for commercial projects as it consumes less time. And also the power trowel are of two types. That is either a ride-on power trowel as we can see in the image where a person sits on the machine and then operates it using the provided buttons, or a walk behind power trowel where a technician pushes or pulls that power trowel as according to the required surface finishing. Power trowel or the troweling method is mainly used to avoid plastic shrinkage cracks. Plastic shrinkage cracks develop during the completion of the initial setting time or when the concrete loses its plasticity. Let's learn more about these plastic shrinkage cracks in later sessions. Right now we'll just look after the advantages of this troweling technique. Okay. Troweling is also mainly used in industrial flooring, houses, and also for the concrete bases that are used as a platform for heavy machinery. These are ideal for stamping, epoxy polymer, special textures, and broom finishes. The next topic is edging. Edging is mainly done to have a smooth and round edges along the corners of the concrete platform. It is done using a tool called the edger as shown in the image. Edging is mainly done to give an aesthetic look to the corners of the concrete because mainly the cracks arise from these corners, or if there is a joint in between the flooring like a steel column is being placed in the center of the concrete slab. So in those cases, in order to avoid this transmission of heat and to avoid these cracks, edging is done over at such places to give a smooth finish. No, broom finish. Broom finish is nothing but a rough textured finish which is obtained by dragging a broom on the trowel concrete surface. This dragging creates small ridges which provides friction. It's also used to give a skid resistance to the concrete floor finish. Now, in this image, we can see that the broom finish is being applied to a trowel surface. In the second image, we can find the finished broom surface. For brooming, what we have to do is that as soon as the concrete is being placed, a bleeding starts to take place in case of excess water is added. So it almost takes about 20 minutes to 4 hours depending on the surrounding temperature, humidity, and how hard the wind is blowing. Once the bleed water is all gone, we can go get the steel finishing trowel and put on the final touches. The main use of this broom finishing is that it gives skid resistance and has a good textured appearance. It's of low cost and also it's used in the patios, driveways and parks. Okay, now let's go on to exposed aggregate finish. Exposed aggregate concrete finish is done to have leveled concrete floor surface with aggregates distributed evenly. It is adequately strong in order to support heavy loads and traffics. It's durable and also resists wearing. It is mainly suitable for various applications as it provides satisfactory and acceptable performance in most cases. As we can see from the images given below, the way it looks, that is, the aesthetic look of this is so good that they are used as a flooring in galleries, warehouses, garages and domestic living rooms. Now, salt finish. Salt finish concrete surface is obtained by inserting coarse rock salt crystals using rollers on the freshly placed concrete surface and washing it off with streams of water once the concrete is set. Actually, it's also one of the decorative methods just as a broom finish concrete. This salt finish actually gives a subtle texture and also provides skid resistance to plain or colored concrete. Okay, the procedure adopted for salt finishing is that once the concrete is left out to dry for a certain time, the concrete is ready to be inserted with the salt grains. Upon pressing the finger into the concrete, the finger should not depress the concrete about 1/4 inch and no concrete piece should stick to the finger. Once this is done, scatter the rock salt onto the concrete surface by applying 2 to 6 kgs of salt per hand every 100 square feet. Press the salt into the concrete using a trowel or a roller with salt crystals having half their diameter remaining above the surface. The salt does not dissolve in the concrete. Rinse the surface with a power washer or with water while scrubbing with a brush. The water dissolves the salt, leaving a series of irregular dimples where the salt crystals had been. This texture of the concrete surface is known as salt finished concrete surface. It's nothing but as similar to as a broom finish, but with a different texture, that's it. Stamped concrete. Stamped concrete is a very intelligent and innovative innovation in concrete, widely applied for flooring, patios, carports, driveways, and sidewalks. The idea of concrete decoration with stamped concrete not only adds their strength for the floors, but also provide pleasing appearance. This is now a good idea for low-costing landscaping, where costly granites, interlocks in landscaping, and patios are used. The stamped concrete is also called as imprinted concrete or textured concrete. These type of concretes, after completion of the construction, will look similar to stones such as slates, brick, tiles, etc. So the procedure followed for stamping concrete is that the primary color that is used for the construction of stamped concrete flooring forms the base color. The base color is selected in such a way that it suits the natural building color and also the surrounding of the building. In addition to it, a color hardener of the concrete gives the base color to the concrete. The color hardener used for the base color is powdered like material. Now, accent color is a secondary color which is used in stamped concrete that is used to produce texture and other additional building materials. Application of color released to the concrete produce the accent color. The patterns on the stamped concrete is the shape of the stamp placed over it. These patterns reflect the shape of a similar natural building material. Once the concrete has been poured and leveled, imprinting over it is carried out with the help of a concrete stamp. As you can see from the image, the man is using a mold which has the shape of a random rubble stone masonry. So this is one of the easiest methods to get an aesthetic appearance on a wall which is cost effective. The second image shows the finished stamp surface. Steel bars or welded wires as reinforcement is highly recommended for driveways and other platforms that are supposed to take in vehicle traffic. These are the best choice for beautifying the pool decks, courtyards, entries of the residential building, and outdoor paving. Pigments. Pigments are fine dry powder or slurry or aqueous suspension that are added to the concrete ingredients to produce colors other than the normal gray color. It is actually added during batching as a liquid or finely divided colored inert powder. Pigments can be natural or synthetic, organic or inorganic. Plasticizers may be introduced to concrete mixture in which pigments are used in order to reduce water demand and other constituents that reduces the occurrence of surface efflorescence and also minimize color fade caused by the UV light. Various types of pigments are iron oxide pigments. Iron oxide pigments are widely utilized, but it can be costly. Different colors are brown, red, blacks, and dirty yellows. The metal oxides. These special metal oxides include some iron oxides that are purpley red, blue, or yellow. Chromium oxide is green, and titanium oxide is bright white. Synthetic pigments. These are the most expensive pigments than the previous pigments, but they provide desired colors which are unobtainable from these metal oxides, such as brilliant violet, pure red, and canary yellow. Powdered pigments. They can be either loose or granulated. The former is dustless since its particles are adhered together. The latter is designed for use in mixer trucks where the coarse aggregate and lengthy vigorous mixing action break the particles up. Liquid pigments. Liquid pigments are solid pigment particles suspended in a liquid. A liquid helps to keep the pigment suspended for the duration of measuring and dosing. The pigmented concrete is used as exterior flatwork for floors, walls, and countertops. It's used to obtain uniform tones with no variations. It also works well as a contrasting base shade for creating layers of color. pigment is a good option if mess and cleanup are concerns. The main advantages of these pigmented concrete is that color of the pigmented concrete extends throughout the entire concrete. It is not affected by surface abrasion. The color would not wear away easily. Even its exposure to heat or UV light would not fade away the color of the pigmented color. But the disadvantages are that the heavy cost of the dye prove initial cost to be very high. So that's it for today, guys. Hope you liked it. And in case you require any particular topic to be discussed by us, please do comment in the comment section. So stay tuned, guys, for further civil related videos from our side. Hope you have a great day. Thank you.